Guys, this is Faye from Faye's World Media. Well, today I have a very special guest, Michael Leckie, who's here to walk us through a wonderful app I got exposed to because of Michael called Housebase, and we're going to show you in this short video, how Michael navigates it, his relationship with the app, and he was very successful at conducting a very recent event. So we're going to show you behind the scenes how things work, the containers, designs, and it's really for non-designers. You do not have to be highly technical at all. And the app itself is also very affordable. We'll make sure to include it in the link in the description below so you can go check it out. But last but not least, we'll show you the analytics for after the events too. So, Michael, take it away.
Well, I can introduce myself real quick, just in super fast. Michael Leckie. I'm a consultant, advisor, author, speaker, and work closely with Faye on all of my marketing and social media and product development. We've been partners for a while now. So I'm happy to do this. Housebase, promoting and selling Housebase is certainly not my job, but it's something I find myself doing a lot. I connected with the Housebase team several years ago when I was Chief Learning Officer for Digital Transformation at General Electric, working out of their Crotonville management leadership facility. And they still use it today for learning programs. I'd say the kind of the top three use cases are learning and online learning and kind of cohort engagement and continuous learning. Like we just spoke about having an event of some sort, large or small. It can be very large. And then also in the kind of work I do, consulting and advisory around change and getting a large scale dialogue around change and culture change. And I use a lot in digital transformation initiatives. So, but what we're going to show you today, and I'll go to the screen share in just a moment, is something that we set up for recently. I have a book coming out in July. The Heart of Transformation, Build the Capabilities That Change Organizations for Good. And I'm sure Faye will throw a link in at the end on that too, if you want it. But so what we decided to do is pre the book launch is start inviting some people to some discussions where I read a little piece of the book and then we have a facilitated conversation about those concepts with a fairly senior level audience. And we did our first one just recently, had a great time with it. And now we're going to do a whole series of them. So we're going to use that as the example. So, okay. All right. So, what you're seeing right now actually is the setup for the session that's coming up on February 9th. On January, the tab up here, January 20th replay, that's actually a replay of the entire live session that we did for the people who were there, who wanted to go back, or there was about 8 or 10 who missed it and wanted to come back and spend some time. And originally we started with a page with the information that we used, and you can see some people have made, some comments on it and answered some polls. I'm not going to spend as much time on that. I'm going to go back to what I have here, because I want to show you what I'm doing here. So in essence, Housebase is a tool that allows you to quickly put together basically an interactive web page or web environment in which you can engage people both synchronously and asynchronously at small or enormous volumes, quite frankly. So on this page, what you see is we have this event coming up and we've advertised it through different media, but also they're getting their emails from the Housebase engine. It says it's on Friday, February 26th at 12:15, right? So I'll be uploading a video that when people first go to this page, they're going to see that video and they're going to be able to ask, what do you want to join in this discussion? So the video will give them a little bit of an intro and overview, very, very quick, not a polished video, just one, doing on a webcam. And then what do you want out of joining? But then you'll see below that, there's other things like we have these questions, and these will be changing, but these were the questions in the first one. Do behaviors change beliefs? Are questions good hacks? Do you want more about this? Would you like to learn about Housebase? Do you want to download what I read? But when I get them there that first day, I don't want there to be a lot of noise. So let me show you how Housebase works. This page I created, well, it took me about 30 seconds because I duplicated it and shuffled some things around, but here's how it works. Housebase is set up with containers and with widgets, and that's it. So here's the concept. You drag the containers you want. So right here, that's this container, the number one all the way across. Just drag it down. I can click it. I can add another one if I wanted to, above or below. And there's a container. And once I have a container, I can drag any widget I want into it. So what you're going to see is that I created that container and I drug in a text widget just to let people know what's happening. And then I have my video widget that will share with them what we're doing and the initial questions. But I don't want them to be stuck on all these things here. And so I'm simply just going to go ahead and hide them. And now that I've hidden these, none of them are visible when I close this. It's a simple, clean page. They click on the URL they're sent. It takes them right here. They watch the video. They see the information. They join the discussion. And that gives me something to go on when I get started to say, hey, you said you wanted this. You wanted this. We'll be able to address this. Here's what I heard from you. That's all I need for right now. And then when they come to the page the day of being live, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to edit the page layout. I am going to move this little box up so we can still see it and look at it. I'm going to put it right up here so it's the top of the page. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide these things. And I'm going to open up these things. By the way, as I'm talking and working with people, if you were looking at the same HowSpace page, those changes would impact live. They would just refresh. All of a sudden, things would disappear and things would show up. So what's going to happen for them when they show up that day is they're going to get this. They're going to get this page that now is, okay, click the button here to join, tell us who you are, and answer these first questions as we get going with the discussion. These ones I'll ask them to answer as I'm reading the segment from the book because it'll pertain to that segment. Now, I've just kind of showed you what's on this page. Let me show you a little bit more about the components or what are on the page. First of all, you'll see join. Now we're recording this on Zoom and we'll send it out, via YouTube Premiere and all sorts of different, media to get to you. But I don't even have to do that with HowSpace. I can simply just click the join button. And once I click the join button, it takes a minute and the embedded Whereby tool, which is similar to Zoom, is going to go ahead and pop up. And there I am. And we're live. And you can see I can change my cam. I can share. I can record it. I can leave. If I want more space, I can open it up. When other people join, they'll appear right alongside here. I ever want to set it up. And by the way, if I ask them to go to a different page, this just follows along. So it remains on top the entire time. So I have my entire conversation right there in the tool. That easy. And do everything that I need to do without going anywhere. Now, I will say this, the Whereby tool does have some capacity limitations, as do most free versions of tools. And so you can also embed into the HowSpace page a YouTube, Premiere YouTube Live, or Zoom, or anything else that you want, and operate it again, just like you would, but right from within the environment, so you don't have to go anywhere else. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this meeting so it goes away. Now, I'm going to go into some more features. But before I do that, Faye, let me pause. Is there anything that triggered that you want me to address or want me to speak to now that you've seen this much this far?
Yeah, I love this presentation. It's so very detailed. I was a participant, so I really love the fact that I could, drag the speaker, rearrange the speaker view. It was very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at what's involved here. Again, I'm going to edit the page layout. And so I've got my containers, and here's what I've got. I've got text boxes. You know what that is, just to add some content. I've got images if I need to use them, and I can also change all the background images, like my little book logo is up here. I can insert a PDF. I can insert video, which you've seen. I can create a poll. I can do chat. We can create file sharing. It goes on and on. There are so many things you can actually do. See who's there, their little pictures pop up and people can find out about each other. You can literally, write tools and conduct exams and ask questions. So you can do all of these things. All you have to do is drag and drop right into a container and then edit the content. Text box here to edit the text box content. I open it up, I edit it. When I'm done, I'm done. So let me show you something interesting on a different page. I'm going to go back to the page that we used. And it's why I want to show you a couple of things. So I asked people if they were interested in HowSpace, and this is a chat, right? So what I can do with that chat is I can use the tools that are available in the system to look at, and I didn't even do what I needed to do here. Look at this. So I was looking for more artificial intelligence tools and I don't have them. So I need to go to my workspace settings here. And I need to, you know what? I'm not sure. Oh, I know what I did. My mistake is I didn't log into this as the admin. I just logged in as me. So I don't have all of the admin rights. All right. So minor issue there, but that's fine. We'll go back to the page and who knows, Faye may cut that out or she may leave it because it's interesting. Go back to the page that we were on. But all of these tools, all of the chat tools have an artificial intelligence tool. In fact, so we took a quick break there. And what happened is I made a mistake. This is actually not the chat widget that we're looking at. I was thinking it was. This is actually the widget that allows you to, you can see what they'll have up there, assignment. What I did is I asked people to give me the information if they wanted more information on this, but I didn't want that to be public. And so it's only visible to me as the administrator. Now, if I was looking at actually a chat box, which we do have one below down here, the question was, do you agree that behaviors change beliefs? There was a little poll, most of them did. And then why or why not? So I can look at their answers. Now, you've all seen this. You've all seen a word cloud. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, behaviors, beliefs, things. Let's say I want to, find out more about, where is people focused. Then I can see all the words that all the answers that contain people. And I can go back and look at it. So fairly rudimentary word cloud. We've had them around for a long time. The other option is look at the cluster of themes that are showing up. Now, this is really interesting. So there's a cluster, like almost 40% of it, they're beliefs, people change, behaviors, beliefs, conversation, structures. And these are created just by the tool looking at what is most commonly showing up. But also, this artificial intelligence tool has now worked with tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of conversations and chats. And so it started to learn on its own. So we can learn what the trained machine would do. Now the trained machine has chosen some topics that generally show up in a lot of places. So you can see now the things that are around change and transformation, which is a predetermined topic that the machine has learned over time, energy and drive, communication and dialogue. So they're a little more, they make a little more sense in the fact they're not just the collection of the random words. Now, it would have made a lot more sense the first time I showed it to you if there was a larger audience. There was only about 18 people answering, 25 maybe, and so there was a little less data. But that's another thing you can do with it. Why I love these tools is because they allow you to listen to a large audience easily. Right? So if I ask a question of 10 people, I can get their feedback on a conference call or a video. If I ask it of 10,000, how am I going to respond to them? I can't. I can only pick people and hope I get people that have a decent opinion, something interesting to say, or that reflect the majority. But when I have thousands of people, I can just simply pull up their answers live, use the AI tool, see what they're saying. They're saying, okay, it looks like all your logical beliefs can be impacted by the way your emotions. Let's talk about that. You guys wanted to talk about emotion. And apparently most of you said that. So I can move right into having a dialogue with people live based upon what they've been saying. I can also do it just by putting that in a video or putting it in a response question that I post online asynchronously. And they're notified there's been a comment where they commented, and they can go back in and take a look at it. So let me pause. I'm talking a lot. Faye, anything else you want me to focus on there? Should I keep going on the ease of actually accessing and getting into the site?
Yeah, this is fantastic. I think the sentiment, actually, what happens to the sentiment? Did you show that as well in the drop?
I'm sorry, I didn't. So let's take a look here. Sentiment analysis, and this is fairly new, but what it's basically saying is, okay, were these comments showing appreciation, reflecting concern, none of them, or neither? So some were just kind of neutral and some were showing appreciation. But if you're asking questions of a large group, especially I do this in things like around change, organizational change that's happening, you'll see what's the sentiment of the answers. Are they fairly negative? Are they fairly positive? That can be really interesting insight as well. And I think one of the things you also wanted to look at was some of the analytics. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and go to the workspace analytics, because when you come into a workspace, you do it via a URL that's sent to you that's just for you. And so everything you do then is connected to your specific coded URL. And so we can see what happened. So here's something interesting. There were 36 people who registered. That's what the users mean. 30 have visited the workspace. So out of 36 that registered for that one session, 30 visited. And 16 of them wrote a comment. So a little over half of them were active. And you can see, when that happened at the session here, and you can see that there are a chunk of visits that happened after the session. Those are the people who followed up and wanted to find out more about it. And then you can see the names of people and folks, how many times they joined, what kind of things they were saying, what were the keywords that were popping up, and page visits. So this is interesting. Now, I had a small but kind of mighty group. If I look at it, there was most of the 83% of the people that were registered, visited the page, are visited on that day we scheduled it, and then a chunk, about a third afterwards. None really have, these are all new pages they haven't accessed yet. Here's what's interesting now. On January 29th, they typically spent 53 minutes. This was a 45-minute session and a little bit afterwards. So people actually spent a few minutes afterwards or a few minutes before. Here's what's fascinating. Of those people that went to the replay, I think we said there was 9 or 10 of them. They spent an average of 92 minutes. That means they spent the time, I know now, to read through all the comments, to look at stuff, to even make comments, and not just like click on and click off. So now I know I actually have something here because I've got analytics that tell me that. So the analytics in the tool are tremendous.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'll
really
pause there.
impressive.
Anything else to say about the analytics?
That's really, really impressive. I had originally thought that 92 minutes were aggregated or consolidated, but then I just saw the label says per user. That is
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of time to spend. I
Mm.
mean, you think about it, people on average spending an hour and a half of their day. So there's something valuable here. Now, if it had been they'd spend a minute and a half, I'd know maybe not to waste my time doing these things. But so
Mhm.
far, people seem to be getting value out of them. And other things you can do is simply just create, you got your list of users. You've got your user list. You can segment them where you want to, put them into teams, send them emails. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So let me show what's happening. We have on this site, actually, if I go to the welcome here, this is the next session coming up. And I showed you that I have other things below that will be revealed as the session goes on. Here's something interesting. If I go to my edit menu, you're going to also see that I've got a welcome for March, April, May, and June. So I'm doing one of these every month, and they're all set up already. So what I did is I created this page with all of the things that are there that you can't see as well. And so this gives me the space for uploading the excerpt from the book, which will be different each time. This gives me the space for the key questions I'm going to ask, so I can just change those. And this gives me some other stuff to follow up on. So all I did was I just duplicated those. I simply went in, clicked on duplicate page, and now every single one of those other tabs has the exact same page on it. All I have to do is go in and change the details, and I've recreated the same workflow that's working for the first one so well that grabbed people's attention. So not only is a page, a page instantly becomes a template to use over and over again. So there's so much more I could say about this. I don't want to drone on for an hour-long session, unless you want to spend 92 minutes. But let me pause there and say, Faye, is there anything else in particular you really wanted me to highlight in this kind of introduction to HowSpace?
Sure. And I would also like for you to show the email reminder section, because that people, that's something that, for example, Zoom doesn't do at all. And we
Yeah,
all know as event organizers, if you don't remind people the day before, an hour before, 10 minutes before, they will forget. So please show
that's
us
right.
the workflow you establish.
Let's see. I think if I go to user management, you'll see emails now. So um, what you're going to see is some sent emails, draft emails. Let me see if this draft one is. This is the how to hack change workspace. Okay, so I have a draft email here, but when you set them up, let's see here's the ones that I have.
Yeah, the
Sent.
reminders are there. Perfect.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So what you're going to see is that we have these reminders, and they were set up to go. I think of it. I don't know if it shows it there, but they were set up to go one a day before, one an hour before, and then one right as it started. So it sent it out and immediately sent the link, and people had it. Here's what's interesting. Let's say I'm also sending out emails, and I want to engage people. So we go back to one of those questions. I've asked a question. It's offline. It's asynchronous. People have a week to respond before a new live session or something like that. And I want to give them that week to respond. And I want to remind them, but I don't want to spam them. So I simply set up an email. And when I'm setting it up, I can just show you how to do this. When I'm setting up the email, I set it up so that first check the sender. This is Michael Leckie from the How to Hack Change, and I can change this. It defaults to HowSpace. I think I used Hack Change as the place for it to come from, and my address to return, right? I can choose my recipients. Is it all of them, selected user list, etc.? How about based on user activity? Okay, have never visited or not visited since. So a lot of people have been on, but they've not visited since a certain date. So let's say that date is, I want to see who hasn't visited since the 8th, and I'm going to do this thing on the 12th. I set it for the 8th. Great. Next, write the message. I'll do that where it's going to take them to which page so they know exactly where to land. And then I can choose that send time, and I'm going to choose later, right? So I'm going to choose that date of, haven't been on since the 7th, and I want to remind them on the 10th. Great. What's interesting is that there's a lot of people right now that haven't been there. But when that thing goes to send, it's going to go back and check at that moment who hasn't been here since the 7th. And that's all the people that are going to get it sent to. So you're not going to spam people. It's only going to the ones who haven't got it before, if that's the way you set it up. So again, it's intuitive. And what I say about this and why I love this tool, and please forgive me, all of my dear, dear friends out there who are brilliant coders and engineers and software engineers. But HowSpace is a great example of why it's really great when you have the user build the tool, not necessarily the brilliant engineer. Because Ilkka Makitalo, who started HowSpace, he built it as a tool because he was a change consultant and he felt like other ones like Slack or Yammer were just too noisy and linear, and he needed something more precise. And of course, the tool took off even more, and now he has a fairly good sized company in HowSpace just doing this work. So it's a really cool tool that's absolutely intuitive. You want to do something, you think, oh, wouldn't it be cool if 99% of the time the answer is, yeah, you can already do that, and they're adding features all the time. So again, a quick overview of HowSpace, but the things to remember is that it is infinitely easy to use. There's no coding, right? There's dragging containers and dragging widgets. Anyone can click and drag. We all know how to do that. Two, you need to kind of know, though, what you're doing. I need to know how to facilitate a conversation. It's not going to feed it to me. It's not a set framework. It's a tabula rasa, right? It's a white space in which I can create the experience I want. So as a teacher, as a facilitator, as an event planner, I have to need to know how to teach or facilitate or plan or run events. But if I do, I can easily translate it to the HowSpace environment very quickly. The last thing is it's really cost effective. So when you engage with HowSpace, you are charged per month a fee for the active users. So let's say you want to build a HowSpace and you have 100 people you're setting it up for, you're going to be joining your session. Well, they'll set you up. You don't pay anything as you're setting it up. And then when you go live for that month, the amount of people that are coming into the site, that's what determines the cost. And the cost is literally dollars. I think that the most expensive version right now, most expensive pricing is like $6.50, $7 a month per person. So literally, if you want to have 100 people that were attending an event, you could be engaging with them for an entire month and it would cost you $650 to do that. And if you're like me, a consultant working with clients, just build that into what I'm doing. And it's a very, very cheap alternative to other things that they have to buy and install, which brings me to the last point. No one has to install HowSpace. The only thing you would have to do with IT, if you're behind a firewall, is get the URL whitelisted if some firewalls limit what you can do with outside URLs or websites. Other than that, it's perfectly simple. And it was created in Finland, so it was created with mobile first. So both the iPad and the iPhone or any of their mobile device interface is just as beautiful as it is on the computer page you're looking at. So again, big fan of HowSpace. The links will be in the video. I'd certainly love to share more and tell you more about it, but I think I'll pause right there and see, Faye, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Oh, this was great. Thank you so much, Michael. And I'm so glad to have experienced HowSpace, and I look forward to the future events. For people who are watching this, I want to check out Michael's YouTube channel as well as his event page. Definitely links below in addition to the HowSpace link. And yeah, this is great. I also want to say that, Zoom can offer so much. And when you are an organization, you're trying to offer these premium events and support. And this page just looks so much, well thought through, well put together, and it's worth attendees or, money, whoever's paying for the event. So this is brilliant. I really love it.
Excellent. Well, thanks for taking the time. I know it was not a super brief video, but I crammed in as much as I could, and there's always more to tell. So, let us know if you want to hear more, or click on the HowSpace link and you can go to the site there. But if you're seriously interested in it and you've seen this and you want me to connect you with someone there, I'm glad to do that. So they know it comes through me. So they, give you all the full attention you need. Thank you.